Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. So today I am in Fort Valley, Georgia, and we are at Anthoine's machine shop. And I thought you guys out there might enjoy seeing this because this whole shop is literally frozen in time, and it's still a operational machine shop that's been in business here for many, many years. So I'm going to let Mr. Steve here just tell you a real brief history about the company and how it got started and how you ended up with it.
Well, unlike a lot of folks, my parents didn't bring me here when I was a child. I come from Florida, and this company was in business since 1885, and I moved up here in probably '69 and was working for a canning plant here in town, and just love this place. I worked for my father's shop. He had a shop, been in it all my life. Went to Florida, engineering, didn't graduate, but I was there for 3 years. And experience teaches a lot, say. This place has got a lot of history. They never threw anything away. They kept everything they had. They sharpened tools, they sharpened axes, sharpened saws, and all the stuff that you throw away now, they kept. So, and there's a whole different outlook on equipment and people's experiences and lifestyle, and just different than anything to the art that we have today.
Okay, so the business started in 1885.
1885.
And it was owned by, I guess, the Anthoine family.
Anthoine family, yep.
All the way up until, and you came to work, when did you start working in the business?
In the 60s.
In the 60s, and then you basically worked with them most of your career, I guess. And
well, I worked 15 years for Pat Brewing Company.
Okay.
They have one over in Perry, and I'd come over here and help him when he had
I got you.
needed help. And I have a book, the day book, somewhere in here. September 9th, 91.
1971.
71. And I was making $3.10 an hour.
How about that?
Because as I told Keith, the transition when you took over from Bob was seamless.
Yeah.
I mean, but you had been here so much prior to that, off and on, and
oh yeah,
you knew the customers and knew what the machines and all their idiosyncrasies. So there wasn't a learning curve that you had to in a few weeks.
Oh, there's a learning curve, I tell you. If you start in on yourself, owning something yourself, it's a big learning curve.
So you took the business over when?
In '87.
In 87. And you've been operating it ever since. Mm-hmm. And we were looking around here, and they've still got a lot of original inventory of old items all over the place in here. They've got records. There's books over here with the work that was done. You can open up the books and see what the work was done. They logged it all down by hand. Just unbelievable. And to this day, there's not a computer in here, right?
No. I was excited to get the fax machine.
But like I said, time has really stood still here, but it's really a neat place. So I tell you what, let's walk out in the shop and maybe get an idea. So we were just looking in the office, and you showed me a copy of the original receipt for some of this machinery from 1885.
Right.
And some of it's still here and being used. Now this building that we're in, this is actually the second building, is that right?
Second building, right.
So the first building was originally next door, and then this building was built, what, you say, the 1930s? Or?
Yep, 20s, 30s, late 30s, late 20s, early 30s.
Late 20s, early 30s. They built this building and basically moved the shop over here. But all the machinery, or most of the machinery in here anyway, is really from late 1800s, early 1900s.
Right.
Still a lot of it is powered with line shaft overhead. And you were telling me, tell the story about the welder when they first started in here.
Well, they have an old electric meter back there on the panel board, and they had the first electric welder. Here's a Westinghouse. We still have it out in the back, and it still runs. But they were required to go and read the meter, do the welding job, go back and read the meter, and charge by the amount of time they had spent welding.
By the amount of electricity they
Electricity,
used.
yeah.
So that's unbelievable. That was the only thing in here that was electric.
Yeah.
Was that welder. There was no lights or
Nope.
nothing. So a lot of natural light in here you can see from all the windows. This machine here, you say, is probably the newest one you got?
Probably the newest one from the old shop, yes.
From the old shop.
Yeah.
And this is a Sebastian lathe.
Right. It come after World War II. And it has a tag here that this machine conforms to the orders of the War Production Board at the time.
So this was made during built during World War II for war production.
Right.
You know, that little tag, I've seen a lot of machines over the years that have that tag on it. In fact, the shop I used to work in, we had several machines that were built during World War II for
Right.
World War II production, which is pretty amazing. So you got a line shaft in here, and this powers many of the machines. You said originally it was steam powered.
Right.
And now you got an electric motor, but this machine here is a Mueller lathe. I don't know what age it is, but it's got to be old.
It's got a copyright thing there.
Okay, it's got a patent date on it from 1886.
Yeah.
So this is probably one of the original
Probably
machines.
one of the original ones.
And show them how you turn it on this bar right here. So,
This slides the drive belts from an idler to a drive position. It'll go forward or backwards. And you wouldn't think it would have much power, but it does.
yeah.
It'll turn it, drill it.
And it looks like y'all use this lathe just about every day.
We do.
Still a good user. Yeah, to me, one of the neat things about this is that there's holes in the floor from the wearing from the person standing here operating this lathe. You can tell it's been used a lot over
Yes.
the years.
It has.
So this is an interesting little piece. The little grinder, you look right down on the bottom, it says Georgia Tech. So what's the history on that?
Well, Mr. Bob was a student at Georgia Tech before the war, and this was a project he had to do. He had to wind his own motor, mount it onto the base, and get it running, and so it's going. And it has run daily ever since.
A lot of times he probably had to do the foundry work and do the castings and all
Probably.
that. That's one thing they did with engineering students back there, is you had to build something from the ground up.
But I'm surprised it lasted this long.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's still working. Most of your
Yeah.
wheels down here.
That's sharpening carbides.
Yeah. People who watch my YouTube channel know I'm a big fan of the horizontal milling machine.
Right.
It's just a really versatile machine. So this is what, an old Brown and Sharp?
Yes, it is. It's been a good machine. We use it all the time. It's got its own coolant, got enough horsepower, and naturally it's got some wear, but a good machinist knows how to compensate for it.
That's a lot of truth to that. And it's got a vertical head on it too.
Yes.
Where you can do horizontal or vertical work with.
Yeah.
That's a neat little machine. And you can tell it gets used.
It gets used.
So tell me about this machine.
Well, this is an old threader, come from Jarrett Company in New York, I believe. And it'll thread from 2.5 all the way up to 6-inch pipe.
Pipe threader. Wow. This is an old one.
Yes, it is old.
I have, I've seen the smaller pipe threaders, but I've never seen one this big.
Yeah. It has about 6 dies in it. And that's threading dies for the different size pipes.
Wow. I saw this, and Steve tells me he's never even used it, but this is just as cute as a button. It's a little metal planer, and made by Anthoine, M-A-T-T-E-A-W-A-N company out of New York. I don't know, that's probably, 8 by 24 inches on the bed.
Probably don't look like it has a stroke, about 18 inches there.
Yeah, probably about an 18-inch stroke, but man, this thing is cute. You say you've never used it?
Never used it.
Wow. So this is a machine I have never seen before. I had to ask him what it was, but tell him about this.
Well, it's a key mill, and it just cuts keyways only. That's all it does.
In a shaft.
In a shaft, right.
So you take a shaft and you bolt it down here on this end.
Down and clamp it this end.
Clamp it down and strap it here, and this side, I guess, floats.
Slides, yeah.
It slides under there. And it's got a lead screw in here, and it just pushes your shaft through. And over on the back side over here is like a little horizontal mill cutter that just cuts the keyway down through there. So I've done exactly this job on a horizontal milling machine many times. I've never seen a mill
Dedicated to it.
Yeah, just for that. And this is a flat belt machine. He's got it up on the line shaft. It's made by John T. Burr and Son, B-U-R-R, Brooklyn, New York. That is neat. I've never seen that. That's new and on me.
And we use it too.
I'm sure you do. You can tell by the shavings over here. Very neat. So not everything in here is line shaft era. You do have some newer machines.
Oh, yeah.
This is not original though, right?
No, it is not. I brought these in. So
And where'd this one come from?
it come from the base over there, Warren Robins.
Warren Robins Air Force Base, just outside of Macon, Georgia. And you said this is a pretty tight machine.
Yes, it is. It's real tight. They have incremental feed on the.
Oh, wow. That is neat. These American lathes, in my opinion, these are some of the finest lathes that have ever been made. In fact, I might even go so far as say is the finest lathe that's ever been made, at least in the U.S.
Well, now some people like South Bend pretty good, so.
Yeah, but this is I'm a fan of South Bend too, but this is a huge step above South Bend as far as quality. And the Monarchs are probably up there in the same class as this, but this one probably beats the Monarch as well. But this is a really, really nice machine. I got some.
It's got coolant on it too, so.
Got coolant on it. This one I'm guessing is probably 1950s, maybe even early 60s. I'm just guessing looking at it, but very nice machine.
Yes, it is.
And speaking of South Bends, you got this little 17-inch Tornado.
Yeah.
And you said you've ran this a lot.
I run this at a brewery, yep.
Nice little South Bend.
It's a good machine, and it's got a good center bore. You stick something through it pretty good.
Here's a machine everybody talks about. You don't hardly ever see it get used, but the metal shaper, really versatile, handy machine.
Yes, it is.
And y'all have used this one, you said.
Yep, we do key work and flattening off plates that you need to be flattened.
Right. And this was made by Smith & Mills in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a line shaft driven machine. Can you turn it on?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's not.
It's not hooked up with another shaft.
I got you.
See, it goes from that belt to this one.
I got you. The drive belt's off of it right now.
Right.
Okay. So here's a machine that probably is often overlooked in a machine shop, but y'all were just telling me this is probably one of your most used
Oh, yeah.
pieces in here is this arbor press.
Yeah. We cut keyways.
Cut broaching keyways,
Right.
and pressing off.
Pressing off bearings.
But I'm sure y'all use this a lot. This is a really nice one. This table will go up and down
Right.
to adjust it, and got a nice long lever on it. And tell me about your modification you just made up here.
Oh, that's so you can get a stubborn piece to start moving. And once you get it moving, you can press it on out. But you have to get it started first.
He said that whole top up there was mushroomed over from
Yeah.
years of hitting it with a hammer, so they ground it off and welded on a big old chunk of steel up there. So put a little wampus on it.
Well, it's heavy duty. It's been abused and still here.
Still here.
Yeah.
Still going. So to me, one of the neat things about this shop is I know y'all don't use this really, I guess, anymore, but over here in this corner, you got the old Blacksmith forge pan in here.
Right.
They used to do blacksmithing in here.
Right.
Still have the anvil over here, and it's got the blower on there. It's just kind of turned into a
Catch-all.
catch-all.
But when I first come here, they had a farrier, and they had more blades that come off, and they never sharpened the more blades. They always beat a edge on it.
Oh, really?
Really. And they'd quench it, and it'd be hard, and the hard edge on it wear longer.
Gotcha.
And they didn't have to rebalance it, didn't cut it to rebalance or nothing. They just hammered a new edge.
How about that? I bet there's been a lot of blacksmithing at this thing. I noticed we were looking at some old pictures
Yeah.
of the shop, and there's a picture of them in here around this blacksmith forge. And, you got wood floors in most of the shop, but right here they actually got like a brick floor up underneath it, I guess that
Right.
is.
A
And
worn out brick
a
floor.
wore out brick floor. And y'all still, I guess, do some welding back here too.
We do.
Well, guys, that's going to probably be about a wrap for today here at Anthoine's in Fort Valley, Georgia. But you guys got to see just a glimpse of the shop here. This is an absolutely amazing place. I could spend days in here, and we went upstairs earlier and we're just digging through the old inventory of old items. That's pretty amazing in itself, all the old stuff. So just how far back do you think stuff goes up there?
Oh, 1800s, I'm sure.
Wow. There's still stuff in its original boxes and crates that it's just unbelievable. I'm sure that some antique guys would love to get in here and get that from you.
I'm sure they have been.
But you're pretty tight with it.
Yeah. But I'd like to invite them all to come
There you go.
and wear old clothes. I see you greasy everywhere now.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm used to it. It's an old place, dusty and greasy, but it's really neat. There you go. Well, thank you very much for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it, Mr. Steve. And if you're ever in the Fort Valley area, stop by.
They stop by.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.